If you have been watching the news for the past few years, even casually, you have no doubt heard time and time again about how important the rule of law is. The mainstream talking heads have likely stood on their soapbox, sermonizing about the sacred thing they know as democracy. I have learned from these people how important the law is and how we should all agree that we should be against foreign powers influencing our policies, be it Russia, China, Israel, or the UK. After all, they have spent almost the entirety of the last few years explaining that the people should be properly represented by their elected officials rather than some other country's interests. All sarcasm aside, I realize how insincere and fake these people are. Their selective and strategically placed outrage is as transparent as the air we breathe. Just a few days ago, people throughout social media were discussing the lack of direction of the DNC, how they don't have a platform or even a perceived purpose at the moment. If you were to ask anybody on the street, they would likely tell you that they are the ones opposing Trump, but they probably couldn't get more specific than that. They wouldn't need to. They are indeed that shallow.
I mean, look, I read today about a 10-year-old girl with Down syndrome who was taken from her mother and put in a cage. I read about did you say want to a 10-year-old with Down syndrome being taken from her mother?
What I said is you can pick anything you want, but the bottom line is very clear.
You?
When you
How
cross
absolutely
the border
dare you,
illegally,
sir?
you
How
have
dare
given
you?
up the
We have
rights of
infants
this
that are being
country.
taken from
Look,
their
we are
mothers.
a country
We
with
have
borders. We are a
infants that are
country
being
of laws.
stolen from their
And when
mothers
you
and put into
choose to
cages.
cross this country
And you go,
illegally, your parents and
Right here we have top-tier liberal propaganda being completely undermined by a soundbite. Really though, the resemblance is uncanny. This is former Media Matters goon Zach Petkanaz, a man who started working for the DNC following their defeat in 2016. Would you believe me if I told you that the exact same people who have been lecturing us about how important internal sovereign law is are now encouraging mass immigration from the third world? It's almost as if they don't believe in the things that they've been saying, that they don't mean what they say at all. It would not be a surprise to me or anybody else that these people have no principles that they actually believe in. They believe in ends that they seek that rule their belief system. For a lot of people perpetuating this mindless propaganda, they are just useful idiots who have been drinking the mainstream Kool-Aid long enough that they don't question inconsistencies when supposed experts speak them. For the others, they are slimy schemers who seek to undermine the same things they pretended to be sacred just a week ago. The new propaganda started about a week ago, mysteriously at the same time as an important IG report regarding Hillary's emails was released. The IG report claims that political bias within the FBI did not influence the outcome of the 2016 investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails, even despite the following text being made public between two people investigating Hillary and investigating Trump for Russia collusion. I am numb. I can't stop crying, of course, referring to President Trump winning the election. All of the people who were initially voting for her would not and were not swayed by any decision the FBI put out. Trump supporters are all poor to middle class, uneducated, lazy POS that think he will magically grant them jobs for doing nothing. They probably didn't watch the debates, aren't fully educated on his policies, and are stupidly wrapped up in his unmerited enthusiasm. Now ask yourself, does that sound like a platinum mad Redditor? Or does that sound like a member of the FBI? A person investigating very high-profile cases.
Okay, people, move along. There's nothing to see here.
You may have seen this picture going around showing a crying child in some sort of cage. This image immediately went viral, with people claiming that ICE was putting children into cages. Only after the outrage reached critical mass did the truth come to light that the image was a lie, or rather misrepresented. The child was not placed into a cage by ICE. The photo was from a protest, where the child was placed by protesters in this cage to reach maximum visual outrage by the people who saw them. That did not stop the cable TV puppets from spewing their talking points handed to them by their masters.
They're separating families to deter people from coming here illegally.
Our administration has had the same position since we started on day one, that we were going to enforce the law.
I mean, this really happened, And although that's in Poland now, it was in Germany during the war.
When you
How
cross
absolutely
the border
dare you,
illegally,
sir?
you
How
have
dare
given
you?
up the
We have
rights of
infants
this
that are being
country.
taken from
Look,
their
we
mothers.
are a country
We
with
have
borders. We are a
infants that are
country
being
of laws.
stolen from their
And when
mothers
you
and put into
choose to
cages.
cross this country
And you
illegally,
go, wah,
your
wah.
parents...
Jill.
Don't you have any empathy?
Jill, go ahead.
Come on, Sarah. You're a parent. Don't you have any empathy for what these people are going through?
Jill.
They have less than
Brian,
you do.
guys,
Sarah, come on.
settle down.
Seriously. Seriously.
I'm trying to be.
I think I'm gonna have to hand this off. Yeah. Sorry. That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. Now it is time for the last word with Lawrence O'Donnell, where he is live in Brownsville, Texas.
Stop the hammering. I mean, this really happened.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt.
The detainment facilities housing the people who were crossing illegally was portrayed as if it was something reminiscent of the 1940s. Although I don't think there were any PS4s back at Auschwitz. People were operating at peak outrage, and the mainstream media was playing the public's sympathy like a fiddle. What is the inevitable next step? Well, this is Peter Fonda, or as the internet has been calling him, Pedo Fonda. And he sent out a series of tweets that could only be described as emblematic of the entire left. Intolerance for the sake of tolerance, as is their mantra. Using as an excuse the fake news I mentioned earlier, Fonda demanded that someone kidnap the president's son, as well as demanded that somebody hack ICE and release the docs of people working there. The first demand of his earned him a visit from the Secret Service, but the second demand of his was actually met. Sam Levine, an adjunct professor at New York University's Tisch School of Arts, created a database using the information gathered of more than 1,500 ICE employees. I've downloaded and made available the profiles of almost everyone on LinkedIn who works for ICE, 1,595 people in total. While I don't have the precise idea of what should be done with this dataset, I leave it here with the hope that researchers, journalists, and activists will find it useful, Levine wrote in a Medium blog post that has since been removed. According to the Daily Caller, the Obama administration operated for 6 years under the same policies, but they just didn't enforce them properly. It's so strange that no one said anything until now. It's almost as if this is all political theater to generate momentum for the mythical blue wave we keep hearing about. These people are running out of time to stand for something, and they have long made it known that they don't stand with the people they were elected to represent. This database, sent out by the New York professor, has been shared and archived by Antifa accounts, and the American citizens who are literally enforcing the same law that the shrieking elites helped to pass are now in danger. Of course, BuzzFeed was quick to defend the professor, saying that he was sharing information that was publicly available. This type of stuff has been going on all week. Just a few days ago, a fact-checker for The New Yorker, a woman named Talia Levin, shared a picture of an ICE official claiming that a tattoo he had was one of National Socialist origin. As it turns out, the man in question was in a platoon in Afghanistan where he lost both of his legs. The tattoo was that of his platoon. But this didn't stop Antifa from going after him. Talia deleted the tweet, but not before people like Ron Perlman perpetuated that lie. This is something that is not uncommon, as these types of people dehumanize those that disagree with them. The irony is rather thick, I know. The truth is this. The people who sneak over here illegally with their children behind them are endangering their child, not just from getting caught from authorities, but also from the dangers that come from this illegal journey.
No, and let me just underscore some of what you're saying. You know, seeing a 9-year-old boy suffering heat stroke, seeing young girls come to you with Plan B or birth control pills because their parents provide them for them.
The person who is responsible for the outcome of the family is the person who is making the decisions for the family. They had every opportunity to seek citizenship the right way and instead pushed their way to the front of the line, and they are now hiding behind their family that they dragged with them into a foreign land. Who is going to make Mexico a prosperous nation? The U.S. does not exist as everyone's sanctuary. The parents of the children who are separated are the ones who decided to break the law. I have a solution, though. I remember a few months ago when all of the media's propagandists came out to speak about how great third world countries are. Conan went to a nice resort in Cuba to showcase how nice parts in Cuba that the poor cannot go to are actually pretty nice. I think the people of Central America have a haven to go to. where the healthcare is amazing and public education is just so impressive. We need open borders in Cuba. Because look, it's 2018, and it is wrong for a country to enforce its laws or have any limitation on who can come and go. It's the right thing to do. And I hear that they love Mexicans in Cuba. I think it's a worthy solution that people should consider. Don't you? This is the part of the video where usually the video's creator promotes their Patreon account and asks that you consider supporting the channel financially.
Please, please, please.
Instead, I would just like to promote my streams and extra content that I do not put behind a paywall. I stream every late Thursday and Sunday night at 12:30 Pacific Time AM. And I also have a channel called Wild Cinema where we watch bad movies that are already on YouTube. And I also have an alternative streaming channel where I archive all of the Midnight Show streams. Also, I'm about to start doing gaming videos as well on a separate channel, and I will leave links to all of this in future uploads. Thank you to everybody for helping this channel grow. It's been fun operating it. Making these videos is fairly entertaining, and I'm happy that people enjoy watching them.